Why, hello there. Come on, you know I had to. So yeah, it's about that time I finally got off my butt and actually reviewed something on here, as it's been a while since I've last uploaded, okay? So as you can obviously tell from the title of the video, and the fact that I've got a copy of Revenge of the Sith literally right here as my back piece, I'm finally going to be talking about the finished miniseries. So far it's a miniseries, but there might be a chance it might end up getting a second season, but then again, I don't know. But yeah, today I'm going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, Star Wars, ever since Disney's acquisition, has been, how shall I say, a bit scattershot, to say the least. Obviously, of course, you know, the fact that you have all the movies that released from 2015 to 2019. Some were decent, others were not. There's also the fact that, you know, with the advent of Disney Plus, there's been an oversaturation of Star Wars content. Like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, The Clone Wars Season 7, Bad Batch. We're getting Bad Batch Season 2 this year. We're also going to be getting that Cassian Andor series as well. We're also getting Mando Season 3. We're also getting that live-action Ahsoka Tano series. We're getting literally, like, whatever. And it's like, I know they need to push these, but, like, come on, man. Can you just give us, like, a year? Like, just give us a year, man. Like, we literally, since 2015, we have literally haven't gone a year since we've basically gotten a piece of Star Wars media since 2015, TV or film. But yeah, but the one piece of media, the one project that I was really looking forward to the most, and one that I legitimately did want to see, was an Obi-Wan Kenobi solo project that saw Ewan McGregor return as Obi-Wan. And then, during D23 of 2019, it was officially announced that Ewan McGregor would indeed be returning to reprise the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi for an untitled Disney Plus show that, of course, we now know is, well, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then we also got some couple other details over the passing years, such as how Deborah Chow, having impressed Disney with her work on The Mandalorian Season 1, Episodes 3 and 7, was hired to direct every episode of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And then things got really interesting when in December of 2020 they officially confirmed, and not only is the show called Obi-Wan Kenobi, we also brought back Hayden Christensen to play Darth Vader. Like, as soon as Kathleen Kennedy said, I'm also pleased to confirm we have the return of Hayden Christensen, I'm like, Hayden Christensen? We haven't seen him in any Star Wars things since, like, Revenge of the Sith. And that was 17 years ago. And so to have him back, not only in the Vader suit, and actually having a chance to potentially redeem himself with the performance of Vader in this show, I thought was really exciting. So did the show deliver on all that it promised? Yes and no. I should go into what exactly that means, but first let's get into, well, the actual story of the show. The setting is 9 years following the... The setting of the show is 9 years before the events of Star Wars A New Hope, but 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. It's not been the best for Obi-Wan for obvious reasons, because he basically lost everything. When Anakin turned to the dark side, he lost his greatest friend. When he ended up, you know, he basically lost most of the Jedi Masters that he knew and loved as well during Order 66. He basically just lives out in exile now. He basically just lost everything. The only thing that keeps him motivated is by looking over Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, like he promised. But things get interesting when a young Leia Organa has been kidnapped. And so Obi-Wan has to go on a journey across the galaxy in order to save Leia. However, little does he know, this brings him right into the clutches of his old friend, now turned enemy, Anakin Skywalker, now known as Darth Vader, in his army of Inquisitors. Before I get into the negatives of the show, I want to mention the positives first, obviously. First things first, the performances from everybody around are solid. Ewan McGregor, I'm really glad the fact that he did get a chance to come back to this project because as Ewan McGregor himself has put it, the prequels, while he did good given the material he had, one, it was the prequel, so there was a little bit of stilty dialogue, and every now and again there was a bit of a wooden delivery. But here in Obi-Wan Kenobi, we're seeing him play a version of Obi-Wan that's a little bit more closer in line to how Alec Guinness portrayed him in the original trilogy. And this is a very different Obi-Wan from where we see from Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. This is a Kenobi who is very much broken. He's very much lost everything. He's basically lost faith in the Force. He's lost everything. The only thing that's keeping him going is just looking after Luke. And Ewan McGregor does a fantastic job of showcasing the pain and sorrow that Obi-Wan is going through. And through the process of saving Leia, he slowly begins to realize the fact that maybe not everything is as bad as he perceived it to be. So obviously, of course, that's great. Hayden Christensen. It's so good, the fact that he's back as Anakin. Like, it's legitimately great seeing him back, you know. Knowing the fact that he's in the Vader suit as well on set is really fantastic. And obviously, of course, you know, some slight spoilers throughout, but, you know, seeing that flashback sequence with him and Obi-Wan was just really nice. And then the final battle between the two in Episode 6, it was so good. It's just really cool seeing Hayden get to come back after all these years and play Vader, because obviously, of course, you know, he played Anakin, but he didn't actually play Darth Vader. But it was really cool knowing the fact that, you know, he's playing the baddest bad guy in the galaxy, and the fact that he gets a chance to do this again, which I think is really rewarding and really cool. Moses Ingram as the third sister, I believe does a really good job with the material that she's given. I do not believe, and I want to mention this right off the bat, the racist attacks that Moses Ingram got over her performance as the third sister were absolutely uncalled for and unjustified. I know a lot of people, like, you know, every fan base has that group of people that will absolutely just say and do really, really terrible things. But Star Wars in particular is one of those franchises where there's a lot of really bad apples. And particularly with the Disney era, we have seen an influx of, like, you know, the recent Disney Star Wars proves once again why SJW woke trash is without a doubt ruining one of the greatest franchises of all time. I can't believe the fact that they had the audacity to include a black woman in here and have her kill off the Grand Inquisitor and blah 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 blah. That's basically how every single one of those people sound. I don't care what they come from. They're basically old musty white guys who have glasses, no doubt, and they sit in their mama's basement complaining about a fictional franchise with space wizards. Sorry, I've been building... I've had that in there for a little while, and I just needed to get that out somehow. But, yeah. I do believe the fact that Moses Ingram does a good job with the material that she is given. However, I did see the twist coming, the fact that she was actually one of the children that Anakin spared during Order 66. I definitely saw that. Like, as soon as they opened it with a flashback to Order 66, I'm like, the third sister is probably one of those survivors. She's probably one of those kids right there. And little did I... And what do you know? I was right. And then there's also the fact that, you know, so yeah, basically just spoilers throughout, I guess, so sorry. Disney's kind of had a habit in featuring these characters where it's like, you know, they really can't have a villain be just straight up a villain. Like, they want to have that person start off bad, but then they go through a redemptive arc. Like, Mando definitely was a good example of that, as, you know, he starts out this stone cold bounty hunter-like character, but then he comes into contact with Grogu, he becomes more caring and whatnot. Boba Fett obviously was a big example of this, as he went from probably one of the most ruthless bounty hunters in the galaxy to now just being just a savior of the people of Tatooine, I guess. It's like, Disney's like, oh, we could show off these villains, we could show these off doing really terrible things, but we need to have them be redeemed in some kind of way. It's like, okay, but why not just have them just be bad guys throughout the entire thing? Like, that kind of, like, sucks out all the... Like, it sucks out the character drama because we've seen it so many times beforehand in a lot of other projects. In fact, we even saw it happen with Kylo Ren in the recent sequel trilogy. Like, he started out as a villain in a really bad place, and then obviously, of course, you know, he ended up, you know, redeeming himself at the end as Ben Solo and whatnot, but it's like, come on, man, like, seriously? Also, Vivien Lyra Blair, I think that's how I pronounce her name, she is so cute and so sassy as young Leia. Like, I did not expect that the call to action that Obi-Wan would end up having to face in this show would actually have to be to save Leia. Because I believe that in an original draft of the original version of the story, it was mainly going to be set on Tatooine, and it was going to be Obi-Wan defending Luke against several members from Tatooine. And I believe Darth Maul was actually going to be included in there at one point. However, when Deborah Chow ended up, telling Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about these plans, they're like, they're good, but one, they're a little bit too similar to the show we're currently doing right now, and B, we think you can go bigger than that. Hence the inclusion of both Vader and the Inquisitors. And yeah, obviously that kind of makes sense. And this is actually the first time that we've actually gotten to see the Inquisitors in live action as well. So, yeah, and also proves about how much they suck. Like, obviously, of course, when the fact that you got Vader in the same room as well, it's like, these guys are a joke. But yeah, the visuals, of course, were really fantastic. I really liked that one planet that Obi-Wan went to in Episode 2 that very much felt like a Blade Runner-esque city. I really liked the neon lights in section of that part. Also love the appearance from Kumail Nanjiani. He's always great whenever he's in something, so I'm really glad he's in this. The action sequences, of course, were really fantastic. Obviously, the standout action sequence has to be the ending battle between Obi-Wan and Vader. It was really, really well done, and I loved a lot of the visual symmetry that they ended up doing. And I really liked the part, like, there were certain sections of that fight that I wish I could get into more, but I want to keep this. Obviously, I will spoil bits and pieces here and there, but I want to make sure that I remain relatively spoil-free, seeing as how the finale literally only came out at the time of recording this just a couple of days ago. But yeah, this then, of course, leads to some of the criticisms that I have with the show. For starters, the dialogue, like, the writing in general, specifically. I think Disney Plus dialogue has become a term that has definitely become in greater use now since its launch, like, 2 years ago. Like, we're definitely able to tell, like, it's been Disney Plusified or whatever. And not only that, but not every episode of the show has been consistently good. Like, Episode 4, I believe, is the weakest episode because, in Episode 1, Leia gets kidnapped. Episode 2, Obi-Wan rescues her. Episode 3, they end up going to this place. Then at the end, she gets kidnapped again, so Obi-Wan has to go to a water planet in order to save her, and it's like, it just feels like a repeat of what you did previously, except now it's on a water planet, and it feels like you're basically ripping off the ending of Jedi Fallen Order, where you're going into the water base, and you have to face off against Trilla, and then there's the ending bet where you have to run from Darth Vader and whatnot. It's like, it feels a little bit too similar to those bits. Like, it feels similar to what you already did earlier in the show, and it feels similar to what has been done in other Star Wars media. And last time I checked, I'm pretty sure Jedi Fallen Order is actually canon, and I also believe the fact that Jedi Survivor is actually set around the same time frame as Obi-Wan Kenobi, as they're both 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Because Fallen Order is 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, Survivor is 5 years after Fallen Order, so there's that. But yeah, I really did feel like the fact that Episode 4 was a bit of a repeat. It was definitely the weakest episode. I think a lot of people can say this, like, I've yet to see a Disney Plus show in which, like, it has maintained a level of quality consistently from episode to episode. Like, there are always those episodes that are like, man, that was amazing, to this one was alright, to that one just flat sucked. But yeah. But overall, just overall thoughts on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, I liked it. I really did like it for what it was. I am really glad the fact that, it does exist, but, we're definitely getting to a point with Star Wars where we're getting a bit too oversaturated with the amount of projects that they're currently working on. Like, seriously, during Star Wars Celebration, they not only announced, hey, we're going to be doing a Cassian Andor series that's going to have 12 episodes released starting in August of this year, but we're also getting Bad Batch Season 2, we're going to be getting a John Watts Star Wars show called Skeleton Crew, which takes place around the same time frame as Mandalorian and all those other shows. You also got Mando Season 3, you got the Ahsoka series, as previously mentioned, you got Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie that's supposed to be releasing in late 2023, you got Patty Jenkins doing Rogue Squadron, Rian Johnson's apparently still doing his Star Wars trilogy, supposedly, but he's been a bit too busy with the Knives Out movies, so it's been a bit difficult to, work on that. There's also the fact that, all these other things here and there, it's like, we're reaching that point where we're reaching a huge amount of oversaturation of Star Wars. But, that aside, for what it was, I thought Obi-Wan was okay. I thought it was pretty good. I would definitely rather watch this over Book of Boba Fett. if I'm being honest, and I genuinely enjoyed Book of Boba Fett, but I would very much rather watch this. However, I still believe that The Mandalorian is still probably the best Disney Plus Star Wars series, I think. Like, it's definitely in the top 3, don't get me wrong, but I do think the fact that there is better Star Wars material that was made for Disney Plus. Not saying the fact that it isn't without its bright spots. As previously mentioned, the performances from everybody were really solid. Really great seeing Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back in the roles of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. The visuals, of course, as to be expected, fantastic as they shot this on the volume. The fight sequences were really great. Obviously, of course, the ending fight between Vader and Anakin was a huge standout. It definitely was really nice. It's just really nice being able to see Ewan McGregor just, back being Obi-Wan, and, as I already mentioned, but, and then obviously, of course, the big detractors is that we feel like, like the dialogue and the writing in general just really isn't all that great. And episode 4 was definitely weak, as it was felt like a bit of a retread of previously what we had seen before in the show and in other Star Wars stuff. But overall, I think I'm going to give Obi-Wan a rating of 7.5. I think it is good. It's definitely a lot better than a lot of other Star Wars material that's on Disney Plus. However, it is far from being the masterpiece and the thing that we have been hyping since, 2019. But yeah, that just about concludes my thoughts talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am glad the show exists, but even as a Star Wars fan, I gotta admit, I'm just tired with all the stuff that we're getting. It's just I need a break. I just need a break. But yeah, that about concludes the video. What did you guys think of the show? Let me know in the comments below. If you happen to say any racist remarks, I will immediately delete your comment or report it, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that just about, does it from here, and, yeah. May the Force be with you.